disturbing video leaking out of China on Facebook, leaking out of China on Twitter. I don't know how people are getting it out, but I'm assuming that most of that is semi-true, 90% true, 80% true. But it's that communist government that controls things. And that's what happens. Once they control your health care, then you've become a hostage. Once they drag your taxes over that 50-60% mark, then you're hostage. You have to do what the government says, because you can't do anything else. You talk about breadline Bernie, hello. Once things reach that perspective, and don't doubt for a minute that they think they're going to stop at 50%, and the next they'll go 60% and 70%, and pretty soon you'll be working for the government. And they'll give you an allotment of food and tell you what you can and can't drive, if anything at all, where you can live and what you can't live. Is that what you want for your children and your grandchildren? I'm begging you young people out there to stop listening to that kind of crap, because it's not going to work out for you in the end. You're going to end up eating out of dumpsters like they do in Venezuela right now. It was one of the richest countries in the Western Hemisphere, Venezuela was. See what they did? There is no real communism, not anywhere on the planet. Soviet Union didn't do it because, you know what? The wealthy just change hands. It becomes the government who becomes wealthy. They control everything. They enrich their pockets. They live in the fat dachas. They're the ones with the nice Vermont cabins, the 3 homes, flying first class or flying in their own private jets. Did you see the meme the other day? Bernie got caught flying first class yet again. And he has a look of horror on his face as the guy in front of him, in the seat in front of him, is taking a picture, allegedly, of himself. But Bernie can see the guy's going to get a picture of him in the background. He knew it. Remember when Liz Warren was trying to hide from getting off that private airplane a couple of weeks back? We all saw that picture too, right? That one made the news, lo and behold. It is absolutely amazing to see what's happening here. And you've got to watch, and you've got to know that, you know what, we can't let the president do this alone. And so I want people to think long and hard about your Congress people that are running. Look in your primary this year, and here in Michigan, coming up in March, we've got a primary. Pick the fighter. We need somebody who can actually take back. In my district here, 8th District, Michigan, I lost my Republican senator. We're normally a very conservative district. And Mike Bishop was our last congressman. He had replaced Mike Rogers. And he just didn't campaign effectively. Didn't get out, didn't show his face, didn't come on programs like this, didn't get his face out. He thought a few signs was going to win it for him. Well, no. Hello. Especially when here in Michigan we had the marijuana vote, which brings out all the liberal voters. We ended up losing it. We lost 3 good seats here in Michigan that really need to be conservative. Haley Stevens, Rashida Tlaib, Alyssa Slotkin, and Debbie Dingell, of course, which has always been a Democrat seat. But doggone it, you folks downriver in Metro Detroit, you need to take a good hard look at the Tlaibs, the Dingells, the Slotkins, the Stevens. Those people are not there to help Michigan. And it's the same way across the country. You've got to find ways to get these Nancy Pelosi's, these Adam Schiffs, these Eric Swalwells. They got to get out of office. I know it's hard. Out there in California, you know, a lot of us on the conservative side just want to write California off. We just want to write it off. It's lost. There's nothing we can do about it. You guys are so far out. You're letting people crap in the streets. You can't go downtown. You've got homeless people everywhere. But there are a lot of good people in California. A lot of good people still in New York. These bastions of liberalism, there's a lot of good people who don't like that. And a lot of people are moving out. We've heard this before, right? If you're going to move out of New York or California to go to Texas or somewhere else, don't bring that same liberal, stupid attitude with you, because that's what ruined your state. And they want to export that stupid liberal attitude to some of the best, safest, most conservative states in the nation. Texas, Florida. Leave your liberalism at home. Learn, for God's sakes, learn your lesson. What you did in your state wasn't working. It worked so terribly that you had to leave and go to a new state. Don't bring that crap with you. Don't do it. Here in Michigan, we kind of did good in 2016. We fell back in 2018. A lot of reasons for that, but the biggest reason is not enough of us got out in 2018. Not enough of us campaigned and educated our youth. And if you're an older adult, a senior, boy, you've really got to step up to the plate. I know you've worked your years, you're retired, you deserve to be left alone, you deserve to enjoy your retirement and your golden years, but you know what? You can't. You have to get out and help campaign and educate your grandchildren, educate your children, force them to take a good, solid look. You need to go to these, the dinners, the family picnics, the Memorial Day organizations that you do, all the things you do over the holidays. You can't avoid the politics, folks. You really can't. I know I don't want to get into the conflict with my family. You have to get into this conflict with your family. You really do. You've got to get out there and take care of business, because we can't leave this to chance. Now, I feel very confident that Donald Trump will wipe the floor with any of the Democrat candidates that are currently on the scene, or any that may pop up at a convention if they go brokered convention, which could very well happen. I'd actually like to see that in a way, because you know what? That will end up, if they take that nomination. What do you think? If the Democrats go to the convention, Bernie's got enough delegates, do you think they'll try and take that away from Bernie? Do they realize what the consequences would be if they do that to Bernie? Are the Democrats willing to either A, put up a socialist as their nominee, or B, risk splitting their party in two? I mean, at least in two. Because if they take that nomination away from Bernie this time and don't give him the fair shake, especially if he's on a roll after Super Tuesday, the Bernie bros, the Bernie hardcore base will not vote for the Democrat that replaces Bernie post their convention. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, you'll see just a divide in the Democrat Party that may not ever recover. You may end up with, maybe that'll be the start of a true third party here in the United States. You'll end up with the super left Socialist Party, and then what's left of the Democrats, they'll be relegated to a very small minority, I would assume, if that's the case, because you're going to have, basically, I really do believe that the House will go Republican, and that there will be a good return for Republicans in 2020 in the House and in the Senate. Here in Michigan, we've got Gary Peters, who's a senator. He's Democrat. He should be easily beatable. Should be. John James, we've got a great candidate. He's African-American. He's a veteran. He's a businessman. He's smart. He's capable. He's educated. And he's a patriot. There's a guy that loves America, who wants to stand up for America, who wants to stand up for the Constitution. I have a lot of faith in John James. I have not met him personally. I had him on the radio show a couple years ago, back when he was running in 2018. I think it was 2018. And he lost that. Debbie Stabenow was a tough bird to beat because she's got deep pockets, a lot of money. But I'm hoping that John James is not making the same mistake that he made last time, that he doesn't get out into the right places. Here in Michigan, you need to spend time in Wayne County, Detroit, Metro Detroit area to get that vote. You need to take, as a good caller of mine, Joe, always says, you've got to take at least 20% of Wayne County in order to win the state of Michigan, because the population is so big, Wayne County, that you really need that. And so that's where he should be concentrating, that Wayne County, Washtenaw County, which is normally very Democratic, but you need 20% of those Democrats. You need that vote. Other areas he needs to get into, Saginaw, Flint. Again, those liberal bastions here in Michigan, you need to get into them and get that vote. Now, John James should be able to do it. I'm hoping he's spending the time there that he should, and not out and about, because the rest of the state is Republican. They're going to vote for John James. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I think outstate Michigan is going to be clear-cut Republican up and down the ticket. And let's hope that does translate into state seats and state Senate seats, reps, county commissions, your municipalities and townships. Let's hope we get a good cross-section. And, of course, your school boards. You hear me rail about it all the time. The school boards, definitely, without a doubt, probably one of the most important positions anybody could ever run for. If you want to dabble your toes into politics, go for the school board. Mind you, a lot of work. School board is not an easy position. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. But you know what? It's so important because the kids of today that have become propagandized, it's because we lost our school boards to the socialists. All these ex-teachers and ex-administrators, these are the people that are running for school board and putting in curriculums which are brainwashing your children. So school board is, without a doubt, probably one of the most important of elected positions, because you need to get in there and straighten out our school system. If we want to fix our problem long term, that's what we've got to do. You can't wait for our kids to become 40 years of age after paying taxes for 10, 15, 20 years, finally realizing, ooh, that socialism thing isn't working out for me very well. By then it's too late. They've allowed the government to take over everything. They've allowed their tax. There's no going back. It's very hard to go back. Lose your guns, lose your First Amendment, you lose it all. So you can't wait until people eventually become conservative after paying taxes for so many years, because that's what happens, right? As a rule, we come out of school and we turn more conservative eventually over time. But we've got to get to that point. So let's make sure each and every one of us is out there talking it up. I know it's not always comfortable. It's not always comfortable to get into what could be conflict, either on Facebook or Twitter. I feel bad. I do get into conflicts because I've got some very good friends that I love. I really do. But they're liberal, crazy liberal. They can't see the forest for the trees. It's absolutely amazing how they put on these blinders of hate. They can't look at facts. They look at the lies that come out of MSNBC and they believe them. These are the same crazy people that believe that the climate thing is real. The climate scam is not real, folks. It's insane that people watch it, but I digress. I'm not going to go into climate today, that's for sure. Well, let me take a break for a second here, and then I'll start right back up again. Okay, and so we're back. Thanks for that. Give me a chance to catch my breath here in the middle of my giant monologue here. I'm looking up at the screen, and I'm running 27 minutes. I haven't even really got into anything on the Daily Drift yet. So we're going to go there. It's Sunday, February 23rd, and we're looking at live caucus results that we just went over. Bernie took Nevada pretty handily. But the next story down is what I call the coup continues. And if you're not super familiar with the Daily Drift, it's me going out, digging up the stories that I think you need to know. And, of course, I just put the links on there so you can go to the actual websites and share it. It's a news aggregate. But the coup continues, and it's the deep state. We saw again this week the Intel committee got some information from our deep state CIA Intel guys that are still, most of those guys are still left over from Obama, right? If you didn't know, Obama enlarged the National Security Council and put dozens and dozens of extra people in there. All of his appointees are in there, and he did it on purpose because he wanted to sabotage the Trump administration. So you've got, because you can't look at the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ and say they're all bad. These people are all bad. We need to get rid of the whole kit and caboodle. Sometimes you think you'd like to, but 99% of the people that work in those positions are hardworking patriots doing their job. They're not out with their own agendas. But it's that top 1%, those appointees. And when you get bad appointees from a bad president like Barack Hussein Obama, and I won't go in, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on again, but I won't go into how bad he was and the untruths and the lies and his hidden background and everything else. That's a show in and of itself. But you've got people in there who are still working to undo the Trump administration. They want to find every way possible. And it's a coup. You can't think of it as anything less than a coup. This is the Democratic Party, which is afraid of their corruption being exposed. This is the media that supports them. They're tied into that corruption. And then the deep state bureaucrats who believe that they run things. And this is what has happened. It's our fault. If you want to blame anybody, it's us, the voters, who are at fault, because we're the ones that should have said enough is enough a long time ago. When they started spending trillions of dollars that we didn't had and